Hi, hello, how are you? You might wonder as you're watching this, why did the video start after the build is already kind of set up? That's because I don't know. You might also wonder, how is this coming together so quickly? How do you already know where everything's going to go? Because what you're watching is not the first, not the second, but the third attempt at building this house. Because for whatever reason, when I first started trying to record this build, The Sims kept crashing, which, if you can't tell, I am just thrilled by that. I tried to build this twice and then gave up and then built it later because the game was just crashing. And it's not like it would freeze and then it would crash and like things were going wrong. It was like, no, it would just spontaneously be like, boom, whole screen goes white. And then I would have to force close the game and I would lose everything. And you're like, well, you should probably save more often. But this would happen after maybe 15 minutes of playing. So it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, you've been playing for 3 hours and the game crashed and it's your fault that you lost everything. No, it was like I had just gotten started and the game crashed and I lost everything. So you might notice, I don't know if it'll even show up because it's sped up, but I saved so often this time. Also, I'm building in the dark right now and I don't know why, but not physically, like the build is dark currently. But I do think that the way this turned out, maybe it's because I had to build it and rebuild it so many times. I think this is an awesome build. It's a very expensive build though. So this is that house. So you're like, oh yeah, my Sims are really cool, but I cheated to get them into this house kind of thing. Or like the Sim you've been playing with for a long time that has their career maxed out and stuff. I think it ends up being 150,000 plus simoleons. I don't remember exactly, but it is up there. But it's my favorite part of this is, and you could have told, oh my gosh, I can't speak at all. You might have noticed from the title of the video, but my favorite part of this build is not even the build. It is the outside. It's the landscaping. This house has incredible landscaping in my opinion, because I saw a picture of a house. It didn't look like this house, but it was a smaller house, but the whole yard was immaculately landscaped and in stone and like groupings of plants through pathways. And that's kind of what I did here. And I also gave them a pool. But the thing is, the pool bothers me so much because you can't have a round pool in The Sims 4. And that's really what, like, in my mind was what I pictured was like a round pool, because you have the round groupings of plants and stuff. But I don't mind the shape of the pool that I settled on. But I guess we should talk about the inside of the build since we're inside the build. I wanted this house to be very open, very bright, very airy, very, I don't want to say modern, but like, it's not really a cozy house. I kind of had in mind, like, these are the people that, or not the people, but like the Sims that would live here, I guess, would be the kind of Sims that like to throw dinner parties and they get gold every time because they don't play around. And even though they are very wealthy and successful or they cheat to get very wealthy and successful, I don't know. That depends on how you play the game. The family's still very small. There's only 3 bedrooms in this house. I guess you could have 4 if you took out this little kind of mini gym I put in there and turned that into a smaller bedroom. Or, I mean, even with the 3 bedrooms, the bedrooms are pretty decent size. So you could turn them into kind of double bedrooms, or, like you have 2 beds in 1 room kind of thing. I don't know. Whatever floats your boat. There's also a huge ensuite master bathroom in this build that you could definitely break down and turn into another bedroom or 2 if you really wanted to. But this whole house is it's like extravagance. I mean, if you look at the kitchen, look how much space that middle island takes up. They're not playing around. There's a lot of this build takes up a lot of space. But it also, if you really wanted it to, you could minimize and then make it still a very large house, but also with a very large amount of living space for more Sims. Like if you wanted to, I think this house could easily accommodate 8 Sims if you wanted to rearrange some bedrooms. But I don't know. I thought it would be cool to have 3 larger bedrooms. Also, there are 3 bathrooms in this house. There's that giant master bathroom, which is what's happening right here. There's a jacuzzi in that bathroom. There's a shower in that bathroom. There's a huge counter. It's a bathroom you could live in. You could just never leave that bathroom and you'd be perfectly content. Then there's kind of a main bathroom downstairs that is, I guess you'd call it a guest bathroom. I don't know. And then an upstairs bathroom for those 2 bedrooms. But this house also has a lot of closets. And I don't even know why. I think it was because sometimes I look at floor plans for inspiration. And I think the floor plan that I used to kind of modified to do this build had a lot of closets, and I was just, I'm going to own it and have a lot of closets. I think the master bedroom in the build I looked at actually had a giant walk-in closet, but I don't know. Sometimes in The Sims, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to build a walk-in closet where you put all the wall decorations with the hanging shirts and stuff up and shelves and things. But I was just not feeling that with this build, especially this being the 3rd time I built it. Another thing that I noticed, and I'm noticing now that I forgot, is that I don't think I put a single bookshelf in this entire house, and I meant to, but that didn't happen. This house also doesn't have any TVs or any computers, which is something I thought of after, that this house should probably have an office. But I don't know. I was thinking this was more the garden party type house than the I'm hiding away in my study type house. But like I said, this house, even though it's like fully furnished and stuff, I think this is the kind of house you could download and modify to your Sims needs really easily. Like for instance, the master bedroom has that seating area in it. But if your Sim is a business person, you could scoot off the seating area and add instead some kind of office space. Or again, you could get rid of the gym and turn that into an office. There's just a lot of stuff in this house that if you didn't want that particular thing, it could easily be converted. I don't know. I like it. I think it's very luxurious, but I feel like it's also another one of those houses that you want to play in to the fullest, kind of. I don't know if that makes sense, but I talked a little bit about this with the what build was it? Was it the cabin? I don't know, but another one of my builds, I think I talked about having a build that didn't give your Sims 100% everything they need. Like, they can survive in it, obviously, but it is a build that or a house that allows your Sim to have reasons to go other places. So like this house has a gym, but there are no bookshelves. So that kind of gives you a reason to take your Sim to the library. And there's a lot of art. So I guess you don't really need to go to a museum unless you're feeling like heading to the museum. It also has a really fancy kitchen, so you might never want to go to a restaurant, but you could still go to the spa. And even though there is a gym, I didn't want to make a giant gym type room, exercise room in this house, so I didn't put any yoga mats in it, although I did try to fit them in there. And I didn't put more than one of the machine. There's a treadmill in there, and the punching bag, and one of the weightlifting type machines that's in The Sims. I don't even know what they call it in here, but I didn't put multiple of each. So there's going to have to be some sharing going on if you have multiple Sims living here. Oh my gosh, I don't know why, but I just thought of this. This would be a good Black Widow challenge house, don't you think? I mean, I've never played the Black Widow challenge. I know you're supposed to, you marry other Sims and then take their money, but I don't know exactly what the end goal is. But if the end goal is a really fancy house, this would be a cool fancy house, I think. Also, this is just specific to this particular lot that I put it on, but there's a pond in the backyard, and I really like that because the front yard of this house is crazy landscaped, and then the backyard, I did less landscaping, but you have the pond in the back. So I don't know if you play, I don't know how anyone else plays with the placement of lots, because sometimes, you just throw a house on a lot that is the right size. But sometimes I like to play with the way houses look, not only in fitting with the boundaries of the lot, but also in the space around them, like that particular part of whichever world you put them in. Like, for instance, you probably won't see it now, but you'll see it in the screenshots. Across the street from this house are those not unplayable. I think they're townhouses, and just the idea of having those two things across the street from one another, I really like. But that could just be me. But speaking of builds, this is, what is this? This is the 7th day of our Simsmas. I've been keeping it up. This build might end up going up late though, because of the struggle it has been to get it done, get it together. But sometimes you just have to put a little effort into things to make them look amazing. And I think this looks amazing. I don't know. Also, this house, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I was going to say like the bedrooms have more personality than the main living area with the kitchen and dining room and stuff. But I almost like the vibe I get from the main living area more, just because of the way the art is placed and stuff. But that could just be me. There's also seating outside. So if your Sims wanted to eat dinner outside, or if you want to throw a dinner party outside, there's a lot going on here. I really wish I had put some bookshelves in this house. That should be like the theme of this build, is forgive me for not placing any bookshelves. Now here's my pool. That the shape that I'm doing now isn't the final shape. I make it a little bit bigger. I expand it a little bit, but that's after I start doing the landscaping. But oh my gosh, this landscaping. It makes me so happy. In the end, you'll see I add a fountain. So there's a pool area, and then there's a fountain area where your Sims can sit. So also, this is me drawing out where I'm going to put everything, because I didn't want to just be like, oh, this is what's in my head, and then it wouldn't fit. So that's what that is. I'm not just badly painting on terrain. Speaking of terrain, I don't know if anyone else has this issue, but I have the worst time placing lots in The Sims 4 and having the terrain paint show up. Like if I download a lot from the gallery and like place it, boom, no terrain paint. And then I have to repaint the whole thing, and that bothers me a lot. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing wrong, but if anyone knows why my terrain paint doesn't show up when I place a lot from the gallery, I will forever be your best friend. Well, it might not be that extreme, but I will be eternally grateful. Another thing that I did with this house was, you'll notice, except for in the bedrooms, except for in the upstairs bedrooms, there aren't any real curtains. It's kind of those folding shade type things. And I think this house is one of those houses where you kind of almost want people to look in, because you're like, look at all my stuff. I don't know. I've seen, at least where I live, houses that have they're big houses with floor to ceiling windows, and there's no window coverings. Like you can see straight through their house. And I guess there are like pros and cons to that, like a little less privacy, but also a lot of good lighting, which, I mean, are your Sims that worried about privacy? I think they'll be okay. But I like the look of it. I like when, even if you're not playing on a specific lot, you can see into the other lot. I don't know if that makes sense. But I like it because it makes it feel like obviously you do have to click the lot for it to load in for your Sims to go to it, but it makes you feel like you're actually able to go there until you make it load. I don't know. That might just be me. It just makes the world feel a little more cohesive. Also, all of these plants, make sure you have move objects on when you place this, because there's a lot of objects moving around here, and there is a lot of plant life. Ironically, even with all this plant life, there is not a space to actually garden. I guess you could do that behind the house. Oh, another thing about this house that I really like is that the front door, which is on the left here, is not actually on the front of the house, if that makes sense, because the front is kind of this area with all the landscaping. Oh, this house doesn't have a mailbox. You might want to pick a mailbox for this house. I just realized. But I like that. I like that the front door is offset and not on the front. But I also think that, I don't know, I guess it depends on which lot you place it on and how you position it, that I guess the landscaped area could end up being a side yard, depending on your lot orientation. But that's up to you. Also, the lighting that I do at the end, I don't know if I am I couldn't decide if I wanted this to be a really bright yard when it got dark, or if I wanted it to be like kind of lit enough that you could see, like if your Sim was walking around. The the yard in the dark. So it's kind of an in-between space with that. So I put some lights in the plants, but these lights also aren't very bright lights. So if you're let's blaze the air with illumination. Wow, that was the worst way to say that, huh? Frick. If you're like, let's make the yard brighter than the sun, then you might want to add some more lights. But otherwise, I think you'll be good. But yeah, don't forget, I'm going to end the video here. The screenshots are about to play. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd love to know what you think. This house is on the gallery, so you can download it there. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!